Why you care too much about what others think. Part 1. Why you care too much about what others think. Have you ever stopped yourself from saying what you truly believed? Not because you were wrong, but because you were afraid of what someone else might think. Perhaps you stayed silent in a meeting. Perhaps you abandoned a dream that genuinely excited you. Perhaps you posted something online, then deleted it a few minutes later. Not because it wasn't true, but because you imagined someone judging you. If that has ever happened to you, you're not alone. Almost everyone spends part of their life living inside an invisible audience, an audience that is constantly watching, constantly judging, constantly deciding whether we are good enough. But here's the strange part. Most of that audience exists only in our own minds. Welcome to Timeless Quotes TV. If timeless wisdom and practical philosophy help you see life more clearly, consider joining our growing community by subscribing. Today, I'd like to tell you a story. It's not about an emperor or a famous philosopher. It's about someone you might recognize. His name is Daniel. Daniel was talented. His colleagues respected him. His ideas were creative. Yet every time an opportunity appeared, he hesitated. He wanted to start his own business, but what if his friends thought he was unrealistic? He wanted to ask someone he admired out for dinner, but what if she rejected him? He wanted to speak confidently during meetings, but what if someone laughed at his opinion? Years passed. His biggest obstacle was never a lack of intelligence. It wasn't money. It wasn't opportunity. It was the invisible prison inside his own mind. One afternoon, Daniel met an elderly professor while waiting for a train. They spoke for only a few minutes. Before leaving, the professor smiled and asked a question Daniel would never forget. Tell me, how much time do you spend thinking about strangers? Daniel looked confused. Almost none, he replied. The professor nodded. Exactly. And what makes you believe strangers spend so much time thinking about you? That question shattered something inside him. For the first time, he realized that everyone else was busy living their own lives, worrying about their own problems, their own fears, and their own future. Very few people were actually thinking about him at all. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. At first, those words sound uncomfortable. But hidden inside them is one of the greatest freedoms a person can ever discover. The day you stop trying to impress everyone is the day you begin discovering who you really are. But if this is true, why do we care so deeply about other people's opinions? Why does a single critical comment sometimes outweigh 100 compliments? Why does rejection feel so painful, even when it comes from someone we'll never meet again? To answer those questions, we have to understand something far older than social media, far older than modern psychology. We have to understand the human mind itself. And that's where our journey truly begins. Part 2. The psychology behind seeking approval. If most people aren't thinking about us nearly as much as we imagine, why do their opinions hold so much power over us? The answer begins thousands of years before the internet, before smartphones, and long before social media ever existed. Our ancestors survived by belonging to a tribe. Being accepted meant safety. Being rejected could mean isolation or even death. Your brain still carries that ancient survival system today. It doesn't always know the difference between being ignored online and being abandoned in the wilderness. That's why criticism feels so personal. That's why rejection can linger in your mind for days. And that's why a single negative comment often outweighs dozens of kind ones. Modern psychology calls this the negativity bias. Your mind naturally pays more attention to potential threats than to moments of comfort. It isn't trying to make you unhappy. It's trying to keep you alive. But what once protected us can quietly imprison us. Imagine a young musician named Emma. She dreamed of sharing her music with the world. For years, she practiced in private, improving every song she wrote. One day, she finally uploaded her first performance. Hundreds of people enjoyed it. Many left encouraging comments. But one person wrote, "You're not talented enough." That single sentence erased every compliment in her mind. She stopped writing. She stopped singing. She almost gave up on the dream she had carried since childhood. Was the comment true? Or had she simply given one stranger the power to define her future? Marcus Aurelius wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. How often do we replay conversations that everyone else has already forgotten? How many opportunities have we lost because we imagined criticism before it ever happened? The truth is surprisingly simple. People judge us far less than we think, and even when they do, their opinions usually reveal more about them than about us. The Stoics understood that your reputation belongs to other people. Your character belongs to you. You cannot control what someone says after you leave the room. You cannot control how they interpret your choices, but you can control whether their opinion becomes your identity. The moment you stop measuring your worth through someone else's eyes, you begin to see yourself more clearly. And that raises an even deeper question. If freedom begins within, what does true freedom actually look like? Part 3. 5 Timeless Lessons About True Freedom. By now, one thing has become clear. The opinions of other people are not the real problem. The real problem is the power we choose to give them. The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago, yet their wisdom feels almost written for our time. In a world where millions of people measure their value through likes, followers, and approval, these 5 lessons have never been more important. Lesson 1. Your value is not a public vote. Most people spend years trying to earn approval from everyone around them. But no matter how kind you are, someone will misunderstand you. No matter how successful you become, someone will criticize you. If your confidence depends on universal approval, you'll spend your entire life chasing something that has never existed. Your character is built by your choices, not by other people's opinions. Lesson 2. You don't need everyone to understand you. Every meaningful person in history was misunderstood by someone. Great artists, great leaders, great philosophers. They weren't respected because everyone agreed with them. They were respected because they stayed true to their principles. Sometimes the price of authenticity is temporary discomfort. But the price of pretending to be someone else is a lifetime of regret. Lesson 3. Rejection is information, not identity. A closed door does not define your future. A criticism does not define your worth. A failure does not define who you are. Every experience offers feedback. Wise people learn from it. They don't become it. The moment you stop taking every rejection personally, you become impossible to discourage. Lesson 4. The strongest people respond, they don't react. Anyone can react emotionally. Very few people can pause, think clearly, and choose the right response. That small space between what happens and how you respond is where freedom lives. Protect that space, because it will shape every relationship, every opportunity, and every important decision in your life. Lesson 5. Peace begins when you stop performing. Imagine waking up tomorrow with nothing left to prove. No need to impress strangers. No need to win every argument. No need to seek validation from people who barely know you. How much lighter would your life feel? The Stoics believe that true freedom begins the moment your self-worth comes from within, not from the applause of the crowd. Perhaps that is why some people appear calm in the middle of criticism. They are no longer performing for the audience. They are simply living according to their values. And maybe that is the kind of freedom all of us have been searching for. But these lessons become even more important today, because we no longer seek approval only from family or friends. We seek it from thousands of strangers every single day. In the next chapter, we'll discover why the modern world, and especially the age of artificial intelligence, has made this invisible struggle even more powerful than ever before. Part 4. Why this matters more than ever in the age of AI. For thousands of years, people worried about what their neighbors thought. Today, we worry about what the entire internet thinks. One photo, one opinion, one comment. Within minutes, thousands of strangers can approve of you or criticize you. Social media has made comparison effortless. Artificial intelligence has made information almost limitless. But neither has made human beings more peaceful. In fact, many people feel more anxious than ever. Why? Because technology amplifies whatever already exists inside us. If you crave validation, social media gives you endless opportunities to seek it. If you fear criticism, the internet ensures you'll eventually find it. And if you don't control your attention, algorithms gladly will. The Stoics never imagined smartphones or AI. Yet they understood something timeless. A distracted mind is easy to influence. A disciplined mind is difficult to manipulate. Artificial intelligence can answer questions. It can summarize books. It can generate ideas in seconds. But it cannot decide your values. It cannot build your character. And it cannot choose your response when life becomes difficult. The future won't belong only to those with the smartest technology. It will belong to those who can think clearly while everyone else is reacting emotionally. Perhaps that's why Stoicism feels more modern today than it did 2,000 years ago. In a noisy world, inner peace has become a competitive advantage. Part 5. How to stop caring so much about what others think. Understanding the problem is only the beginning. Real change begins when you practice something different. The first step is surprisingly simple. Ask yourself one question whenever you feel judged. Is this opinion changing who I am, or only how I feel? Most of the time, you'll discover that nothing about your character has actually changed. Only your emotions have. The second practice is to focus on your values instead of your image. Every morning, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not, how can I make everyone like me? The third practice is to become comfortable with small moments of discomfort. Speak your honest opinion respectfully. Wear what you genuinely like. Start the project you've been postponing. Little by little, your confidence will stop depending on applause. The fourth practice is to protect your attention. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every argument deserves your energy. Sometimes the strongest answer is silence. Finally, remember this. The people whose opinions matter most are usually the ones who want you to become a better person, not a more popular one. Live in a way that earns your own respect before seeking anyone else's. Because one day, you'll realize something remarkable. The freedom you've been searching for was never hidden inside someone else's approval. It was waiting inside your own decisions all along. In the next chapter, I'll share a few books, tools, and daily habits that can help you build this mindset consistently, one day at a time. Part 6. The habits that help me stop seeking approval. Changing the way you think doesn't happen overnight. It happens through small habits, repeated consistently. People often ask me, if you wanted to build a calmer, more stoic mind today, where would you start? My answer is simple. I wouldn't begin by trying to change the world. I'd begin by changing my daily environment. The first habit is reading timeless books instead of endless headlines. A few pages from Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus can stay with you far longer than hundreds of social media posts. The second habit is keeping a journal. Every evening, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do well today? Where did I let fear or the opinions of others influence my decisions? What will I do differently tomorrow? These questions take only a few minutes. But over time, they help you become your own teacher instead of relying on everyone else's approval. The third habit is protecting your attention. You don't have to read every comment. You don't have to join every argument. And you certainly don't have to prove yourself to strangers you'll never meet. Choose carefully what you allow into your mind. Because your attention is shaping your character every single day. Finally, if I were building these habits today, I would also use technology intentionally. Not to replace my thinking, but to improve it. I would use AI to explore different perspectives, summarize difficult books, organize ideas, and ask better questions. I would use note-taking apps to capture insights before they disappear. And I would listen to great audiobooks during walks instead of endlessly scrolling through my phone. If you're interested, I've included a few of the books and tools that I personally believe are worth exploring in the description below. Use what serves you. Ignore what doesn't. Because no tool can give you wisdom. It can only help you practice it more consistently. And now, there's one final idea I'd like to leave you with. It may be the most important lesson of this entire journey. Part 7. The freedom you've been looking for. Let's return to the question we asked at the very beginning. Why do we care so much about what other people think? Perhaps the answer has never been about other people at all. Perhaps it's about the relationship we have with ourselves. The moment you need everyone else's approval, you hand them the keys to your peace of mind. Your confidence rises and falls with their opinions. Your happiness depends on their reactions. Your identity becomes something that can be changed by a single comment. But the Stoics offered a different path. They believed that the greatest achievement in life was never becoming famous. It was becoming free. Free from unnecessary fear. Free from constant comparison. Free from the endless need to impress people who are busy living their own lives. Imagine waking up tomorrow, knowing that you no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. Imagine making decisions because they align with your values, not because they'll earn applause. Imagine speaking honestly, working courageously, loving deeply, and accepting criticism without allowing it to define you. That is what inner freedom looks like. And here's the beautiful truth. It doesn't begin after you become successful. It doesn't begin after people finally understand you. It begins the moment you decide that your character matters more than your reputation. So before you leave today, I'd like to ask you one question. Whose opinion has been controlling your life? A parent? A friend? A stranger on the internet? Or perhaps someone who stopped thinking about you years ago? Share your answer in the comments. You may discover that you're not alone, and your story may give someone else the courage to change their own. If this video helped you see yourself a little more clearly, consider subscribing to Timeless Quotes TV. Every week, we explore timeless wisdom from history's greatest thinkers and transform it into practical lessons for modern life. And next time, we'll explore a question that has challenged humanity for thousands of years. Why most people never find inner peace? Why do some people remain calm in the middle of chaos, while others spend their entire lives searching for peace they never seem to find? We'll uncover what Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus understood about inner peace, and why their answers may be even more valuable in the age of artificial intelligence. Until then, protect your attention. Guard your character. Think independently. And remember this. People will always have opinions. But only you get to decide which ones deserve a place in your mind. Because in the end, the strongest person is not the one who is admired by everyone. The strongest person is the one who no longer needs to be.